I get strangers on the internet. I had one comment this morning, and I never understand these comments. Hi everyone, welcome to another video. This camera keeps getting really hot because it's quite hot and muggy today, and it keeps stopping filming, so this video might be in chunks. But what I thought we could talk about is the topic of children, having them, not having them. What if you can't have them but you would like them? How do you deal with the questioning? Like, I've got a one-liner which literally kills everyone who asks me the question. It kills it dead, and it makes them feel really awkward. It puts it back on them. So I'm going to share that with you. And also how to deal with any angst or you might be feeling where you feel like you need reassurance. Maybe you've come to a point in your life where you just aren't sure if you want them or not, and it's stressing you out, and you're like, I have got a certain amount of time to make my decision up on this. Maybe you're somebody who kind of deep down knows you don't want them, but you are going through a phase where you're trying to force yourself into wanting them, and it's not working out and it's stressing you out. Maybe you are someone who is unable to have them, would love them, and you're getting questions about when are you going to have a family, and in your head you know your situation, but you don't, obviously that's private. Just all of it. And as well, how I came to cement my decision. So I have spoken about this just last week on Patreon. Patreon is my private channel, and in that video I go into a lot more detail, more private, personal detail about what helped cement my decision not to have kids. But on here I'm going to talk more generally. I will link to my Patreon below, so if you want to kind of check that out, then I'll put that below. Okay, so when I first met David, I was in my early 20s, and as soon as I met him, we knew we were going to get married. It was the weirdest feeling. Like, I know it sounds really weird, but spiritually, I felt like I knew him and he felt like he knew me. There was a familiarization there. It's literally like we knew each other, to the point where we actually said to each other, you know, do you think we've crossed paths before? You know, because we grew up in the same area, and I was like, maybe I've seen you before and I just didn't realize. But there was like a deeper level of I know you kind of thing. And we said early on, right, we're going to get married. And I had people in my life who were like, oh, cool, you two should have kids. It would be fun. Now, I already knew I didn't want them, and David had told me he didn't want them. But the pressure was insane and unfair and ridiculous, and put so much pressure on me. I've said this before in a video I did in November, but the pressure I got actually ruined the whole of my 20s, because I met David when I was like 22, 23. You imagine years of that, years of it. It ruins, it gave me a complex in the end. It made me feel like there was something wrong with me for not wanting them. Now I look back and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with you. It's called choice. It's called 2024, or whatever year it was back then. It's modern day. Like, as women, we get to choose, and that's how it should be. And having children shouldn't be a default if you don't want them. Like, I really believe in choice, and I'm so glad that I've grown up in this day and age, as opposed to like the 1950s, where I wouldn't have had that choice. Or if I didn't, I'd have been seen as a bit of a outcast in society. Now I feel like it's okay not to have them for whatever your reason, whether you are unable to for whatever reason, whether you just don't want them, whether it's not the right time for you financially, or whether you never met the right person in time, or whatever. I feel like it's okay now. People still ask the intrusive questions, but it's okay. So I went through a phase where when I was in my 20s, everyone was like, you should have them. Then I got married when I was 26, 27, and the narrative changed to, when are you going to have them? Somebody actually said to David and I, when we said to them we don't want them, they actually said to us, well, what did you get married for then? Yes, they actually said that. And we were both so shocked by it, because we were like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realise you could only get married if you wanted children. I didn't realise that. Like, it was very rude. And then when I hit my early 30s, the narrative changed again to, do you know what? You should probably hurry up, because you don't want to be alone when you're older. And who are you going to leave all your bags and stuff to? And I used to think to myself, I'm going to be dead. I don't care who's got it, because I'll be dead. I'm sure I'll find someone who is willing to take it off my hands. You know, whether it's my nieces and nephews, or I give it to charity, or I do whatever with it, there will always be somebody who I can give it to. You don't have to have had children to be able to pass stuff on. And as I say, guys, we're all going to be dead. I promise you, you won't care who's got your stuff. No, you won't care. That's a human thing. That's a human thing to care about. I don't believe spiritually we really care about it. That's a side topic. But I would say if you're struggling with the yes and the no, listen to your inner voice, block out what everyone else has to say. And I would also say a big thing is, if you're in the yes and the no, although it might be tempting to Google it to make up your mind, although it might be tempting to go and talk to friends about it, don't. And I say this because if you talk to friends, you're going to get swayed with their personal choices in life. Maybe not always. Some people are really good at being neutral, but I think it's human nature. You can't kind of help swaying someone to your point of view. It's like in this video, I'm trying to be really neutral, but I'm aware that I might be pulling more towards the no because that's my decision. Also, so that's the first thing. Also, don't Google it. You're going to come up against people that are like, it was the best decision ever. You're going to come up against people that are like, it was the worst thing I ever did. And everything in between. Trust me, it won't give you any clarity at all. Listen to your own inner voice. The other thing that cemented it for me was growing up. I still get people, even to this day, saying, you better hurry up, you know, you should do it. You need to hurry up. I get strangers on the internet. I had one comment this morning, and I never understand these comments from people angry at me for not having them. For people being quite vicious about, you should have them, and I don't know why you haven't, and blah, blah, blah. Just all kinds of comments. And I think, what a weird thing to write to someone you don't know. You know, how does me having a child affect you in any way, shape or form? It really doesn't. Is the world really going to miss another human being on the planet? Probably not, you know. So listen to your own inner voice. Growing up for me helped. It helped me mature. That was my problem. I was not mature. Now I feel very mature and I see my life for what it is, and I wouldn't change a thing about it. So that's that. So growing up helped me decide. Okay, the next thing is, how do you deal with these intrusive questions? So I would never in a million years ask someone whether they have children or not, why they don't. I would, can you imagine if someone was like, yeah, I've got kids, and you were like, why did you do that? You wouldn't say that. So why do they say it to us when we haven't got them for whatever reason? But something that really helps me when I get asked the question or any sort of statements made about it, I say, this is it. I tell them how it makes me feel when they ask. So, for example, going back a few years ago, it used to make me feel anxious. And I would be like, you make me feel anxious when you ask, and it's not your business. And I think as soon as you admit to people a vulnerability that it stresses you out, you might not want to use those words, by the way. But for me, even if it doesn't really stress me out anymore, it makes them think, yeah, that was a rude question. I shouldn't have asked it. And if anything, it makes them think, I think what it does is, in my experience, it makes people reflect on their question and realise that it's really quite rude and not their business. And I think as soon as you show that sort of vulnerability to someone and you say, you've made me feel really stressed just now, you've made me feel really anxious just now, as I say, it shuts them down and they will never ask you again. Because if someone said to me, you've just given me anxiety, I would feel mortified. If I spoke to someone and they said, Sophie, you have made me feel awful just now, I would be like, that would keep me up at night forever, thinking that I had done that to someone. So obviously you can word it in a softer way, but that's something that I have done in the past and still do now. And people don't ask me anymore, because the ones that used to ask me, when I used to say that to them, or when I've said that to them, they're like, gulp, oops, okay, now I feel really bad. I wish I didn't say it. So that's one thing that's really helped me. And if you are getting bothered by these questions, if they're repetitive from the same people in your life, if they're just getting tiresome, that's what I say. And it always shuts it down. Even if you're not stressed, even if you're annoyed, say something like that. Because you want to flip it back round, don't you? And then finally, I just want to say, whether you want them or you don't want them, or you want them but you're terrified of having them, or you're unable to have them, it doesn't make you any less of a woman. Did I say that at the beginning? I just want to say that it doesn't make you any less of a woman. There's nothing strange about you. There's nothing broken about you. If you don't want them, it doesn't mean you're any less of a woman. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It's just your decision. That's what it is. And there is nothing wrong with that. And that is where I want to end this video. And I just want to say, I hope if you've watched this, that particularly if you're somebody who is stressed about this, I hope that it's given you some comfort and that it will help give you some ideas as to how you can make up your decision, like once and for all. I hope it does that. So, yeah. Now on Monday, we need to go grocery shopping. We always go grocery shopping normally on like a Monday morning or an evening. And we are thinking about taking a drive out and trying Morrison's. So I've never been to Morrison's before because there's never been one near me, but we found out where there is one. And it's a little bit of a drive, but it looks like it could be quite good. And I've heard good things. You know, we went to Aldi and it was not a good experience. It was so loud in there. It was really like... I've got a problem with loud noises, actually. I always have done. They really like make me jump and make me feel very, very stressed. And when we were in there, it was so loud. It was like 1,000,000 decibels. And even David, who's okay with noises, he was like, get me out of here. Now, we tried the food, and I had some of you saying, what was the food like compared to Lidl? Lidl is brilliant. Lidl's food, to us anyway, when we tried it, their vegetables were beautifully fresh. Their meat was really good quality and tasted delicious. The fruits were all fresh, and the strawberries were so sweet. We got like 650 grams for like £2.99 or something, or £2. It was crazy. But yeah, it was really good. Aldi, on the other hand, their food quality of what we bought was really poor. The steaks were, when we got them home, you know when steaks start to oxidize and they go that like dull grey colour? They'd gone like that. They smelt bad when we cooked them, so we didn't end up eating them. And they were in date. They were long since in date. But yeah, just not good. And the salad we bought, we hadn't noticed it, but it had gone brown in the packet that it was in. So a lot of the food that we got was no good. And we got a bottle of, I think it was Sauvignon, and it was not like Lidl. Like, Lidl is genius. It's so good in there, and it's so affordable. But and I don't want to offend anyone who loves Aldi. I'm just saying that if I were to compare the two, I'm going back to Lidl. Lidl was brilliant, really calming in there, and just great quality. But yeah, thinking about doing a Morrison's trip. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching this video though, and I will see you in the next one.